Princess Caroline of Monaco's second husband, Stefano Casiraghi, just may have been the perfect royal spouse. From college dropout to dedicated father, here's his true life story. Stefano Casiraghi was born in Italy on September 8, 1960, and he was immediately thrust into a life of privilege. His father, Giancarlo Casiraghi, was a businessman, while his mother, Fernanda Biffi, was a family woman. By the 1960s, the Casiraghis were already famous for their financial empire. Giancarlo Casiraghi was born to a railroad gatekeeper, but knew exactly how to profit from the Italian industrial boom that followed World War II. He made a name for himself in the clothing business, and he was also involved in other enterprises, including construction, real estate, and oil. With all of his father's impressive business ventures, Stefano Casiraghi grew up in some of the world's most exclusive environments. During his childhood, he was known to spend a great deal of time at Lake Como, where his mother kept a family home. As he grew older, he could be found boating in the crystal clear waters of Corsica and Sardinia. He also loved to soak up some of Europe's most gorgeous mountain views while driving a Ferrari. Stefano Casiraghi frequented many of the same fabulous places as the Monegasque royal family, so it was only a matter of time before he crossed paths with Princess Caroline. And so, in the spring of 1983, they were introduced to each other at a Monegasque disco called Jimmy's. At the time, Casiraghi was engaged to an Italian socialite named Pinuccia Makeda. Meanwhile, Caroline was in the midst of a tumultuous romance with Robin Rossellini, eldest son of Roberto Rossellini and Ingrid Bergman. But neither of those relationships was particularly solid. Perhaps because of the relative instability of those situations, it didn't take long for Caroline and Casiraghi to link up. There were whispers that Caroline was running after Casiraghi to make Rossellini jealous. Either way, it didn't take long for things to become serious. Casiraghi wasted no time ending things with Makeda, and he was soon spotted on hunting trips with his new girlfriend's father, Prince Rainier III.
I like a fairy tale. We met and 10 days later decided to get married.
One reason that Caroline and Casiraghi fell in love so quickly might have been his gentle personality. As Caroline mourned the loss of her mother, Grace Kelly, he was able to provide her with unconditional love. This sense of tenderness allowed their romance to blossom into a full-blown love story. In 1990, The Washington Post reported that the princess's social circle was particularly supportive of the relationship, with the paper noting, "Friends said that under Casiraghi's moderating influence, the haughty, temperamental Caroline became more stable and mature." Naturally, Casiraghi spoiled his new girlfriend and did little things to make her feel special. As Geoffrey Robinson wrote in his book, Grace of Monaco, The True Story, he would make the perfect husband for her, because he had a financial interest in an Italian shoe company, and there were few things in the world she liked better than shoes. To that end, Casiraghi reportedly had labels placed into Caroline's shoes and told her that they'd been created exclusively for her. Despite Casiraghi's sweet demeanor, not everybody supported his pursuit of Princess Caroline. Some palace courtiers were opposed to the match because they worried about his future prospects. The trouble was that he wasn't always viewed as particularly ambitious. During his college years, Casiraghi enrolled at Bocconi University in Milan to pursue an economics degree, only to eventually drop out. To make matters worse, his friends thought he was so idle that they would often poke fun at his copious amounts of free time. This reputation hardly suggested a good fit for the Monegasque royal family. Luckily though, these fears about Casiraghi's future ended up being nothing more than just that. Over time, he proved himself capable of contributing to his parents' empire. He made some excellent real estate investments, which were enough to launch his own career forward. He then started several import-export businesses. Ultimately, this progress helped Casiraghi gain the acceptance of Caroline's family. Princess Caroline and Stefano Casiraghi got married on December 29, 1983. Although they were excited to make their relationship official, the palace felt that it would be best to keep the celebration private. The reason was that Caroline had already walked down the aisle with French playboy Philippe Junot just 5 years earlier, only to get divorced shortly thereafter.
Philippe carried on in discotheques. He dropped his pants in one discotheque and he poured a bottle of champagne over his head in another.
Considering how badly her first marriage turned out, it didn't make sense for the princess to throw another opulent wedding. Thus, her family arranged for Caroline and Casiraghi to wed in a 20-minute ceremony held at the Prince's Palace of Monaco. In stark contrast to her first wedding, she only invited 20 guests this time. There was another factor preventing Caroline from having the wedding of her dreams: the disapproval of the Catholic Church. A devout Catholic herself, Caroline would have preferred to marry Casiraghi within the church, but because the Vatican didn't recognize her divorce from Junot, she couldn't wed her new groom at Monaco's cathedral. For Caroline, this was devastating. After marrying Casiraghi, she fought hard to convince the Vatican to annul her first marriage. She even appealed to the Sacra Rota court, where she revealed the intimate details of her marriage to the public.
All of Prince Rainier's connections and money couldn't get the Pope's people to give his daughter a break.
In June 1984, just 6 months after they tied the knot, Princess Caroline and Stefano Casiraghi welcomed a healthy son named Andrea. They went on to have 2 more kids together, Charlotte and Pierre. During the years that Caroline and Stefano spent raising their children, they led an extremely idyllic life. They lived full-time at the princess's royal residence, but they also managed to travel throughout the rest of Europe. They were often spotted enjoying chic destinations like Paris, Roquegel, and Lake Como. They also spent a few days every summer enjoying the crystal clear waters on the island of Cavallo. It was clear to observers just how happy they were together. As Geoffrey Robinson recounted in Grace of Monaco, the true story, seeing her with her children, and with Stefano always nearby, it was evident that she'd settled into marriage and motherhood with ease and delight. Casiraghi also appeared to be relaxed and fulfilled as a family man. There were even times that they would reportedly dream of expanding their ever-growing clan. As Robinson recounted, in quiet moments, she and Stefano spoke of someday having 6 children. It's no secret that marrying into a royal family comes with its challenges, but things were surprisingly smooth sailing for Stefano Casiraghi. Unlike other royal newcomers of the 1980s, like Princess Diana or Sarah Ferguson, Casiraghi fit right in with his new family. Of course, it helps that he understood his role in the midst of all of Monaco's princely traditions. Rather than try to steal the spotlight, he did his best to allow Princess Caroline to shine. Whenever he could, he opted to remain behind the scenes. According to some royal insiders, this ability to avoid the limelight was very much a reflection of Casiraghi's modest character. In the book Once Upon a Time, Behind the Fairy Tale Princess Grace and Prince Rainier, J. Randy Taraborelli revealed that one of Casiraghi's friends, Gary Pudney, used to describe him as a humble guy. This was reportedly because of how he would behave in front of his in-laws. As Pudney put it, he would always step back when the rest of them were having their picture taken. He never forced himself into that world. And a 1990 article in People magazine quoted another friend of Casiraghi's who said, "Stefano never pretended to be what he wasn't."
There's no problem, no question about it.
Although Stefano had a smooth transition into royal life, he couldn't escape the meddling of the tabloid press. For years, gossip columns tried to find scandalous stories about him, but they came up short time and time again. Eventually, the paparazzi decided that if they couldn't catch Casiraghi in the middle of a dramatic situation, they would try to get him in trouble themselves. This reportedly included having women in bikinis posing near him while they took their pictures. But this trap didn't lead to much, as Casiraghi was known for being a faithful husband. After tirelessly searching for skeletons in his closet, the only negative thing that they could find was that he'd avoided Italian military service. But that wasn't much of a scandal either, as it turned out that he had a medical exception. Ultimately, his pristine background allowed him to enjoy a relatively scandal-free marriage. Stefano Casiraghi's ability to just be himself definitely appeared to be what made him such a good match for Princess Caroline. Unlike her previous love affairs that thrust her unnecessarily into the spotlight, her relationship with Casiraghi allowed her to enjoy a stable home life, and this was basically one of the best gifts that her husband could possibly offer her. According to the book Grace of Monaco, the true story, Caroline once told the press that she valued Casiraghi in a way that she could never value her titles. As she put it, "It wouldn't bother me at all if I weren't Princess Caroline of Monaco. I prefer to be at home with my husband and children than attacked by photographers. I'm just the sister of the future prince, and my children come first. I work my schedule around them." This lifestyle stemmed from the overall sense of normalcy that Casiraghi gave Caroline. Whereas other royal couples of their generation relied heavily on governesses and nannies, they loved spending time with their children, even allowing their young son Andrea to sleep with them at night. Stefano Casiraghi consistently proved himself the stable husband that he needed to be. However, there were moments when he felt that he also needed to let loose and have a little bit of fun. But fun for him didn't consist of anything like hitting the dance floor. Instead, he would let loose by racing speedboats, and oftentimes he would emerge victorious. In 1984, for example, he took his boat out on Lake Como at an impressive 184 miles per hour. At the time, this marked a record for how fast anyone had ever steered a boat on the Italian lake. And Casiraghi's need for speed didn't end there. As reported by the Washington Post, between 1984 and 1990, he participated in 80 offshore power races, winning 12 of them. He even finished first in the offshore World Championship races that were held in Atlantic City in 1989. As a longtime friend of Casiraghi's told People magazine in 1990, besides Caroline and the kids, boats were his passion.
But I try to let him carry on with his life as much as he can and not impose too many tedious things.
On October 3, 1990, Stefano Casiraghi went to the Offshore World Championships in Monaco in hopes of defending his first-place title. As he stepped aboard a 42-foot catamaran with his friend and co-pilot, Patrice Innocenti, he was focused on winning at all costs. In Casiraghi's mind, this was going to be his last time risking it all on the water. By this point, Princess Caroline was reportedly tired of watching her husband participate in such a dangerous sport. Even Casiraghi himself had been forced to recognise the perils of offshore racing after one of his friends died in a competition. As his friend Franco Bartolini told the Washington Post at the time, he was no hothead, but he loved to take risks. Stefano told me recently that he intended to quit racing just after this year's championship. Unfortunately, Casiraghi never got the chance to make the safe choice as he drove his boat into a wave at 90 miles per hour. He died in the accident, while Innocenti was non-fatally injured. As Bartolino recounted to the Washington Post, he was going too fast at the time of the accident, and I think it was because he wanted to win one last time at home in Monaco. Casiraghi was only 30 years old at the time of his death.